2:02, so we'll call the meeting to order. First issue is the approval of the minutes. If there's a motion to approve the minutes.
Yes, there is.
Okay, is there a second?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion, amendments, corrections, deletions to the minutes? Comments? Pardon?
I can get a copy first.
It's probably emailed to you, I suppose.
Did you see the part where you give us a 20%
Minutes we just
reduction in
bring
your
here.
fee structure?
Agendas.
Well, that part.
That
part.
That was the important part.
It's only 18%.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, anybody have a chance to review the minutes? Brief minutes, because of course it's also video recorded, so there's the full transcript by video. Okay, any other discussion on the minutes? Okay, all in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, the minutes are approved. All right, project updates. Center for the Arts, building project status. Let's just do that quickly. If Jack can do that.
They poured the footings for the little theater yesterday in preparation for the rain today, because what's happening to us is we pour the footing, we prepare the footings and it rains, and we prepare the footings and it rains, and we just get pushed farther and farther back. But they poured them yesterday, so we're all safe. First and second floor, basement, first and second floors are poured. Third floor will pour next Wednesday. We're working with Edge again still to finalize the revised completion date. Right now it looks like sometime in March 2013, and they're still working to try to better that. More people on site, and we've worked, the district's worked out some help for Edge to get them paid faster, not ahead of time, but faster for what they're owed. And that seems to have freed up some resources so that they're able to provide more people on site. So we're excited about that.
So
We've been
just
complaining about that all along.
Edge has been taken over by a group called Leadcore, which is a Vancouver-based company. And
Is that a bonding company or
no?
No, they've been purchased.
They've been acquired. Yes,
Okay.
through a mutual agreement. So essentially, what that's done is Edge has been working on a number of public sector projects. Public sector projects have a tendency to pay very slowly. We tend to be an exception to where we pay as quickly as we can possibly pay. The trouble is there are certain mechanics involved in paying these bills, which requires unconditional releases from the subcontractors and suppliers. The trouble is that you can have a subcontractor who's owed $1,000 who can hold up all payments, even for millions of dollars. Of course, you guys know this, but if they don't sign their unconditional release. Okay, so what's happened is that all these firms who Edge has been working with, and there are like 15 or 17 of them, something like that, they're all end up slowing down their payments, which creates a serious cash flow problem with Edge. When Edge is not paying their bills to their subcontractors or suppliers, their subcontractors and suppliers stop subcontracting and supplying to us, at which point the project slows down. So what we've done is we've been meeting with the owners of Edge over the last 2 and 3 months in order to work this out. In the meantime, two things have occurred, is that Edge has been acquired by Leadcore. Secondly, the bonding company has stepped forward and said that we will hold PCC harmless and defend PCC if we pay a bill ahead of the unconditional release. So then what that does is it allows us to pay the bill more quickly. As soon as Edge signs their unconditional release, then we will pay the bill.
Right, those are the unconditionals from the subs, by the way, not from Edge. Edge is still held accountable for their unconditional
Right.
release, which is really all we really need.
So what we're trying to do is we've just paid 2 bills very quickly, and we're up to January now?
February and March are on my desk.
February and March, so we were paid up through January. February and March we're processing. We're waiting for general counsel to work out the final details so that we are held completely harmless, and the bonding company will defend us in court if we pay the bill in advance of the unconditional release from the subcontractors and the suppliers. So what we're trying to do is to speed up the payments to Edge, so that Edge will staff up the project more with the subcontractors. So, you know, this is a bit of a game that we're going through, but we have seen an uptick in the number of people who are working on the site.
That's a mess. You guys
Long meeting, Cowboy. but it's
are
great.
working through it, but it's difficult. Yeah.
Well, it is difficult, but we are doing everything that we can possibly do to speed this up. The reality is that it will not occur, meaning completion, prior to the beginning of the spring semester of 13. Therefore, there's no point moving mid-semester. Therefore, we're talking about moving during the summer of 13 into the Center for the Arts building.
And it's real important to note that this is for work completed, not for work they haven't completed. In other words, we're not paying for work yet to come. This
Well,
is work
yeah,
they've already
I
completed.
assume that's
So
what you're talking about.
we
yeah.
would never even think of that, but
We never pay for work that hasn't been done.
Fair enough, yeah.
this is to get them up to date.
Do you pay the full amount, 100%? Do you have a
No,
retainer?
we retain 10% of every
Okay.
contractor on campus, every single one.
So, you know, it's people who think that things haven't moved as quickly as they should have are correct. When you see the Center for the Arts, it's been in this state for a while. Although the basement, the block is now done,
They're finishing grouting today.
okay, and the foundation for the little theater was poured yesterday. So, I mean, there's a lot of progress that occurs behind the scenes, all the underground work, the stuff that nobody sees. People are going to start to see a lot of progress as soon as the walls go up, which is,
As soon as we get the rest of the steel done, which should be within probably the next 2 weeks, the decking will be done, and once that's done, the framers are already on site. But within the next, by May 1st, they're planning on overtime and increased crew size. So starting May 1st, the interior and exterior walls will start to take shape, and you'll see a big increase.
Right.
Specifically the interior, because we are changing the studs on the exterior. But once that's approved by DSA, the building will all of a sudden look like a building instead of a.
so we have
cell.
notified the Board of Trustees, we've notified the Citizens Oversight Committee of these delays so that, and now we're notifying the Facilities Planning Committee to where here's where we now are, and that's the latest information we have. Okay? Any questions on that?
If it's done, you said like mid-semester, you wouldn't move in until the summer.
And you know what, ultimately it's your call and Van's call. If you guys wanted to move in, we're willing to do that, but that's your call.
I'm just wondering if some of it could happen rather piecemeal.
It could.
Like one room could get moved in and.
You guys
figure
tell
out how
us
to-
what you want, we'll do
Okay,
it.
well, we'll set up a plan when we know. And I'm sorry, I just walked in, you probably gave a date. Is there now a
March.
new estimated?
March.
Okay.
But the reality is it'll be, yeah,
Might
summer
be
is.
later, yeah.
We have the recovery schedule, and it's gonna be in our office either this Friday or Monday. So
We have a
we'll
lot-
have the date.
We've got a lot of pressure on Edge. And now, this morning, Edge said, what would happen if Leadcore took over the entire project? Which would help in terms of cash flow, because they have hundreds of millions of dollars available to them.
Mhm.
So that would speed up the payments to the subs, so we're working on that.
And then we'd look and see, would it be possible to move, theater would be hard, but the recital hall start to, once we know the building is turned over, we could start to.
And when we say the date, that is the final date of the final punch list item.
Oh, I see.
I think we're probably getting a little ahead of
I know
ourselves at
that.
this
Yeah.
point.
You've
I'm
gotta
getting
get
all
a
these
certificate of
questions.
occupancy
So,
before anybody
it's
can
so
move
dear,
in,
so
so.
dear.
No, but you know, when we say if it's in March of 13,
Mhm.
it means final punch list. It means final, we accept the building.
Right.
As soon as we do, then we can move in. We don't want to move into the building piecemeal prior to the
Oh,
punch
yeah,
list
no,
being
definitely.
complete.
Well, and if you do that and then you get in, then they have call to say if something is damaged.
Yeah,
we damage.
Well, we've done that many, many, many times before, and don't want to be in that position.
No, I
It makes our
understand.
life
I wouldn't-
difficult, but we have
I
done
wouldn't
that.
ask that. But-
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Well, actually, that's good news. I think everybody should feel good about that because it has been languishing, and I think now it sounds like you've got a path that's
Right.
going to move it forward, get this thing resolved. And I mean, frankly, it's a positive thing that Ledcor stepped in and purchased them.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And we've gone through this before with the ITB. Barnhart was acquired by Heary Corporation, so, and then somebody else thereafter, so it's not unusual.
Yeah.
It's like a mortgage.
Yeah, it is. You reassign it to somebody
Except they
else.
don't bundle it up.
Yeah. Any other questions on Center for the Arts? You want to just talk about the Our Building Restaurant project?
Our building restroom project is going well. They're probably a month and a half to 2 months away from completion. Remember, it's the old men's side on the east that we're changing into the new women's side. Increased size and accommodations all the way around. Again, it's not without its hiccups because of its existing building, and we had asbestos problems, and that's all been taken care of. And moving forward, we had some issues with water connections, as you can imagine, with a building that's that old, and which lines are no longer in use and which lines go where. But we resolved that last week, and therefore that's why you had all the emails about the shutdowns, and that's all been resolved.
Is that every floor on the?
No, right now it's just the first floor.
Okay.
But in fact, it's only the east side. The west side, which is to become the men's side, can't occur until the arts building is complete because the
Yeah,
office is
okay.
being occupied. We're going to make it into the men's side as a temporary measure when we open up the women's side, but not in an increased size. So once that's done, the whole lobby and the whole look of that whole entrance is going to change dramatically because remember we had the wing walls and you went from this nice entrance into this kind of fluted
Choke point.
choke point that really made no sense, and we were looking at it today, Rick and I, and you can see over the years where they modified it. So that's going to hopefully really make a big change to the entrance to the art building. And then of course the floors up will occur at a later date. We have other issues with, again, when the arts moves out, that certain areas become available, we can make the changes, so that'll happen later. Real quick too, on the elevator upgrades, we're going to go back out to bid. We only had one bid before, and the vendors that were bidding on it said they didn't have enough time, which is debatable, but nonetheless, that was the excuse, and with only one bid, we can't go out, let the contract. So we're going to go out to bid real quick here. Our office was communicating with purchasing yesterday about resetting up that date. We're going to give them 5 to 6 weeks to bid it instead of what we had before, and then it'll also be in a format where we can pick and choose the elevators based on the budget. So hopefully that project will start soon.
Okay, questions on that? Okay, let me talk about MIS in terms of connecting with the master plan. So last, whatever the date was, the board meeting last time, when we went through the facilities master plan and we did all the visioning session. The question is, we were talking yesterday with MIS. You might want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Michael Ehrig. I'm sitting as the interim web administrator right now in ITS, actually.
Okay, so what Michael's point and what he's working on is taking all the input that was given at the visioning session and then making that accessible to not only the on-campus community, but the general community as a whole. And then allowing for, and we were talking yesterday about creating an input device so that people could give comments, whether, students, faculty, staff, outside community members, oversight committee, whomever, and that there'd be some process then for us to be able to capture those comments and to be able to take them into account in the overall planning process. So the first question is for A.C. Martin in terms of the information that we gathered from the visioning session. how is it that we can connect you up with Michael in order to be able to put that on our website so
Well,
that people can see what we do?
Maybe I could address
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I've given Andrea I've sent her all the scans of those sheets.
There are photographs?
Yeah, they were scanned in the large scanner in our office. So they're like photographs of the sheets. In a way, they're more interesting than just like a list that's all typed out.
They're all legible, and you can
That's
actually
all.
read them. But,
So that's all available as kind of images that can be put on.
and the PowerPoint show, of course, is there as well.
Now, there as well means where?
Well, it was,
So,
we give it
I don't-
to Andrea, so.
Did I send that
Andrea's
to you?
got it?
Not the
No,
PowerPoint.
not yet. Okay, so that needs to go to her.
Okay, so we need to get that to Michael.
So maybe I
Okay.
coordinate with Andrea then.
Here. Yeah, we should copy Andrea on everything.
Yeah, great.
Good. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
baseball cards.
Okay,
In China, that
terrific.
has to occur with 2 hands.
2 hands, yes.
We're in
Preferably
front
with the Chinese side up, yeah, if you got one.
And a bow.
Yeah, and about, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
so if we can tie that in, Michael's prepared to make that live fairly quickly,
That'd be great.
so that the
Great.
comments can start to flow, and then we'll work out the mechanics of how we get the information of the comments back to the architect.
Now, let me ask another question in that regard. There was video being taken at the visioning sessions. Is that also going to be on the website?
I think the visioning was at the Board of Trustees.
I mean, you mean the videoing?
Yeah, what did I was, sorry.
Yeah.
The videoing was for the
Oh,
video.
oh,
For
The
the
video for the
visioning
visioning.
was at the Board of Trustees.
I can't remember, I wasn't paying attention.
Because
was
there were
not
so
for
many
the workshop.
conversations that were
Okay,
going
all right.
on.
Yeah, a lot of conversation.
Now, I know for a fact that the Board of Trustees meeting has been posted to the web. Now, what we might be able to do, is it possible just to link that one session?
They can do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would-
just
yeah.
not all the business part,
The-
just the master plan section?
Oh, the section of the video?
Can you do that?
If I have access to the YouTube account that it's hosted on.
Because I think it's been segmented.
Is it on the PCC YouTube account, do you know?
It's on certainly on the PCC Board of Trustees.
Okay.
And what there's going to be is a certain segment of the overall meeting.
In the lower right side of the PCC webpage, there's a little board in public
Right,
button you can
right.
click, and that'll
Now,
take
you
you
don't
right
know
to.
that because he's the one who does it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's cute.
Normally I'm on the other side of the curtain.
I just wanted to see
Yeah.
if you were paying attention. But we also have the college photographer was there as well that day. And so he has some still images that would probably be very nice as well.
Okay.
And then what we were talking about is if we can break this into the 3 segments of modernization, sustainability, and seismic. And then if we can provide Michael with the images and whatever information split into those 3, then he can segment that section of our website in order to allow for public comment into each individual area. So does that work for everybody? That works for AC Martin?
Yeah, no, we're fine with that. I'm just trying to think how our slideshow was structured slightly differently.
I would just do the Board of Trustees one.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
all right.
So the PowerPoint you can do too, Michael?
We can definitely set it up as a download. I can look into how we might embed it.
Or would you rather have it as like a PDF file of each slide separately?
We could do it that way too. It's,
But if it's gonna be the board show, I don't have that. Remember, you inserted series of slides,
Oh,
and,
yeah, because what I did is I hid certain in order to speed it up.
right, and so I
So
don't.
yours is the one that I hid a number of your slides, and I can provide my section to Michael too. Because I
I'm
did
just
the
trying to remember,
seismic and I did
when you finished inserting and hiding slides, did you save that onto my desktop?
Yeah, I think I did. But I've got my own, which is the sustainability and the seismic portions. And I can get that in my,
Okay, I mean,
the images and whatnot.
I'll see if I got the saved
Okay.
slideshow on the laptop.
Okay. That work for you?
That works.
So what else do you need from us?
Just that, I mean, source files, photos, PowerPoints, a YouTube link or embed code. That's pretty much it.
And then we're trying to make this as interactive as possible to get as much feedback, so that just because a student or a faculty member or community member wasn't at a board meeting, they still have opportunity to do it.
And actually, now that I think about it, probably need some contextual text, something that describes what you're looking at. So I don't know if you
Can you work on that?
What we're going to do, what I suggest is that you have these defined: modernization, seismic, and sustainability, and these are all the work groups, and that's really the information that needs to get out to the campus. And so under those three, each one will have their own link, and that can be provided by the facilities planning committee liaison to those links. We'll provide all that information based on your work group meetings
Okay.
with AC Martin.
Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, and at some point, under each of those various committees for a particular building, this has to be our building, it may be useful to put this on so that there's a three-dimensional drawing of every floor with every room number labeled in case people want to be specific about some of their comments.
So
Relative.
you can get that to Michael too?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this
I
is
think we've
going to be
already covered
relatively
that.
complex, Michael, but it's
Yeah,
a
and
huge
it'll
by
project.
Friday, right?
Yeah, by Friday, right. And there'll
You
be
wanted
more
it by
information.
4. Didn't you want it by 4 today?
You gotta turn that computer off.
Yeah.
Okay, does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so as long as we're talking about the various different components, why don't we talk about the subcommittee groups that have met?
Okay.
And well, yeah, you guys can talk about which ones have met.
Okay, yes, that's my big agenda item for today, is
Okay.
about the groups.
Okay?
So we have met with the V Building group. We had met, very successful. We met with, on
Now,
Sexton.
let me just-
Oh, sorry.
With the B-Building group, we are now going to meet with our bond counsel, the attorneys, within the next, I hope, 2 weeks, in order to be able to finalize Measure P, because I think that there's ultimately $22 million of Measure P money that can be spent on the V Building. Okay, so we're working with the attorneys to within the next few weeks to verify that. And then we'll start doing some serious arm twisting of AC Martin. If there are blood and screams, ignore them.
And what would
AC
that
Martin
twisting be
crying
about?
Crying about the pressure that we're about to put on them.
And which pressure would that be?
That's why you're taking me to lunch tomorrow.
We're happy to do that for a fee.
For a fee.
That's what the crying is going to do.
That's what right.
That's the crime.
Thank you for
Good cop,
bringing that
bad
up.
cop, good cop, bad cop.
I see.
Okay, well, I'll keep that straight.
It's just a lot more fun to be the bad cop.
Okay, great. Well,
Okay,
we've been.
so that's where we are with the V Building. It's still a part of Master Plan 2010. Okay.
Okay. Then, we have met, the group who is looking at the Sexton remodel group has met. So
You want
that,
to talk about the concept?
the concept, there were 3 ideas brought forward in that discussion. One of them was to simply refurbish the existing auditorium and make that into something that would be more palatable and aesthetically upgraded. The second would be to,
Let me just ask, because I was asking Susan this same question, and everybody else might be curious. I was not aware that there are times in which the auditorium is actually pretty much filled when there are some
Many ti-
community events there. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they use the balcony, but they do fill the ground level with like 1,500 people, no?
No. There are 2 parts of this. One is Performing and Communication Arts uses the facility for their plays.
Right.
So they just wrapped up a play, and they had it for 2 months, I think.
About 300, 200 to
Okay,
300.
not a huge audience.
Okay.
The huge audiences for PCC occurs on the weekends.
Right.
And that is Civic Center, which is the non-PCC, people who rent it.
Okay.
When they rent it, because we have an auditorium of roughly 2,000 seats, that's a rarity. Then they do use the balcony as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
But for PCC itself, We rarely ever use the balcony. It's the outside groups that do.
So is there enough income generated?
No, not
No,
yet.
all right, that's the question.
The college is not allowed to charge over just the basic
Cost.
covering costs for the facility in the rentals, and so that kind of sort of
Puts a
takes
damper
the-
on being entrepreneurial, I guess.
Why are we not able to charge?
Because the Civic Center law permits us to cover and requires us to cover our costs so that we don't subsidize outside usage. However, we're also not allowed to make a profit. Okay, that's a tightrope. Now, the issue for me is that I think that we can charge for the depreciated value of the building. So that if we put in, $10 million into this, and the $10 million is expected to last for 20 years, okay, that's $500,000 per year. Okay, so that's $10,000 per week. So then if you use it, and we can divvy all that up, now what's going to happen is that instead of renting the auditorium for a couple grand, it might end up being for 10 grand. And that would still cover cost. The issue for me that we have to work out is, if we get bond money in order to pay for the upgrade, then can we charge for the amortization of the loan, considering the fact that
It was
the PCC general funds are not going to amortize the loan. The bond money will, which is generated by property owners within the district. Okay, so, we have some issues that we got to resolve.
Challenge for your lawyers.
Well, it's another legal problem that we have to resolve. But the fact is that right now, we're about giving it away for free. As a result, many of the seats have duct tape on them,
Right.
and it's horrible.
So, I interrupted you, Susan, but the first alternative was a refurbishment, but basically maintaining the same number of seats, correct?
I think that was kind of
Yes.
the low-level proposal, was just use it, keep it for what it is, but fix it up.
Right.
However, the arguments against that are that there are some pretty major things that need to happen, including repair of the ceiling and some other aspects of the facility that
And
are not
remediate.
working. The sightlines are extremely poor because of the way the floor is sloped, and so it does not really serve the purposes
Right.
very well.
Right.
So the second possibility was a proposal that had been developed about 10 years ago to divide the space up, basically what Richard was referring to divide the balcony area and use that for something different. At the time, 10 years ago, it was maybe a recital hall. Now, because of the Center for the Arts, there's probably not needed as a recital hall, but perhaps classrooms or other uses. And then also tying into that the repairs and refurbishment that would be needed in general. The third proposal that was discussed was to actually replace this facility with a new auditorium, not necessarily in this building. The arguments were that this auditorium in this building, it's buried inside the building, which is buried inside the campus. It does not have very much of a public presence. It's also more difficult to tie that facility in with the new Center for the Arts and with things that are happening in the V building and other functions that support what goes on here, like costumes, scenery, and so on. So then there was, because these were visioning sessions, the idea, could we envision some way of having a new facility? If so, where would that be, and how would that happen? Rick mentioned that the parking lot 5A area, which has had some other uses discussed for it, possibly could be used for something like this. There was also the possibility, because we've been talking about an innovation center, which might be a new facility or could be a remodel of the W building, that if it were a new facility, maybe there's some way of combining an auditorium with that new facility on a different site on the campus. Does that kind of cover
Yeah, so that
generally?
if we imagine Lot 5A, and Lot 5A is not required for parking because of the other innovations that we've had in terms of bicycles, in terms of ITAP and so forth, that if we created an auditorium space along with an innovation center, along with breakout rooms, that on the corner of Del Mar and Bonnie, we could conceivably have a massive community space of innovation, of auditorium, of conference and so forth, immediately adjacent to the parking structure.
And the idea that would be that this would be about a 1,500 seat auditorium, it seems to be what the desire would be for.
Right. So, Coleman?
It would go from being sort of an embedded, non-visible aspect of the campus into becoming something that people could really kind of look at almost.
Right.
It would
the
be
way
like a
you would
flagship
see-
for the
Exactly,
campus.
and it would be quite something. And then in its place, we would embed then perhaps classrooms and some other perhaps more appropriate functions for the C building. And so this would really solve a lot of big problems. And yeah.
Well, and then as people say enter or exit the lot 5, they can see a new auditorium or concert hall or whatever we call it, and they can see the recital hall, the little theater, the box office. It's all visible in one thing. They're not exactly adjacent, but visible.
So it creates kind of a precinct in that area of the campus which is identifiable.
So then the other thing we could do is if we took the whole building envelope Sexton Auditorium, and we took that out because it has a number of fairly much insurmountable problems, and we created an envelope the same shape with, for instance, a barrel roof over the top that was glass, with an atrium in the middle, with classrooms out around the outside. We could create a classroom instructional space of the exact shape of Sexton Auditorium, so that it doesn't do disservice to the overall design concept of the C building, while simultaneously dramatically upgrading both the aesthetic and the usefulness of the space.
And could keep some homage to the existing section of the historical touches.
So, if anybody has any thoughts on that?
It was a pretty lively session. It was exciting.
It was
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds very interesting.
Okay?
So, okay, so there's that.
And Dave Douglas is here because he's bored with all this, as you can tell. But he wants to talk about the U building and hear any conversation.
But before we do
Wait,
that,
let me just
we
give
have-
you, I just need to continue with this because we have some business that we have to attend to. In addition, the group on accessibility and circulation has met. They had a very, very good session. And I think that a number of areas were identified in detail about what needs to make a campus accessible and universally designed, essentially. Coleman, you were at that meeting, I was not, so do you have anything?
Well, we just had a the folks in disabilities put on really a great, sort of organized a really great thing, but it was lots of input from a lot of people. It was everybody got to get involved in this discussion, but there was a lot of focus within that. We're going to follow it up. Lori and Jamie and I mean Laura, Lisa, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. We're going to follow this up with a walkthrough with the architects to identify specific areas
That's great.
on the campus and so forth.
Yeah, that's scheduled for the 26th of April. April 26th at 2
p.m.
And we're going to meet, who's interested in that walkabout, we're going to meet in front of our Assistive Technology Center in D208.
Okay, then, let's see, so we have some groups that are, we have a meeting scheduled for U Building Modernization, which is going to be Monday afternoon, the 23rd, because the college is closed next week, and that would be at 1 p.m. So
And who's invited to that?
that,
That's on your end, right?
What's that?
Your end.
Yeah,
yes,
That's you and it's Barbara Freund?
yeah, Linda sent out the
It's
email.
Barbara.
Jack.
I sent it to Dave, Jack, Jamie,
Kent Yamuchi was
Ken.
part of it.
Okay, so those are the key players, but you're having your individual faculty and staff?
I haven't, but I can.
What's the time frame on the state making a decision about your application?
Well, they don't have any money.
This is my point. I was going to get to what came up in the visioning sessions. They brought up a good point, and that is there's some advantages to thinking about science and nursing being put into different locations on the campus.
Yeah, and the issue right now is that our application in the state is that we are replicating the
Right.
size and use of the U-building.
I understand it.
Okay.
But if they don't have any money,
I know.
then there's an opportunity.
And it's yet another chicken and the egg problem. The problem that we have is that we have an application for the state. In fact, I talked to the Chancellor's office last week about all this. We are relatively close to the top of the list. Okay, so if we were to be able to get $50 million, whatever the number is, from the state, as opposed to raising it from our own property owners within the district, it significantly reduces the cost to the property owners in our district. Because what it means is that all property owners in the entire state pay for our building. Now realize that the last time that we had any state funding was 1999. Okay, so what we did is we went through the Jack Scott period where he raised a lot of money. And basically when the Jack Scott period ended, then we went into the Jim Costler period, which was essentially the Measure P, which we're now wrapping up. Okay, so during that entire intervening period, we did not ask for state money. Now we're standing in line for state money again. So the question for us is, do we just fund it ourselves through another bond measure and put that on the backs of the property owners in the district? Or do we actually let the process play out with the state and have them pay for it?
I couldn't agree more that that's an important fiscal question that the district needs to sort of determine. My issue is more about, from the point of view of the programmatic offerings and what is in one science building versus another approach to it, what would best serve the campus's needs moving into the future? A simple one-to-one replacement forces you to do something that has been there but may not be the best way in which you would like to move forward. Dave, I'm just trying to remember the things that we discussed at the visioning session and wanted to bring them to the table here so we can have a little more open discussion about what that might influence how the district decides. Obviously, it's going to, I mean, if they say no, we don't have any money, no matter what priority you are, the choice is made. You can make your own decision.
But the choice really isn't made. Because here's where the problem lies, is that if we assume that we're going to split the health sciences from the building,
Right.
what it necessarily means is we're moving it to CEC. Okay, that has a whole cascading series of effects. In the first place, CEC is not necessarily big enough to house medical assisting, dental hygiene, and dental assisting, because that's what would have to happen. Plus, you do have the problem of Student Health Center, which we temporarily located to the D building in the meantime. If any one of those programs grows, we certainly don't have space for it. So the issue is that the U building was, the way that it was designed by PPWS is that there are potentially 3 U buildings that could be built on that
Right.
site. So it's true that if the state funded phase 1, we would have to fund phase 2, and if we wanted to, phase 3. There's space for all 3 of them.
Okay.
There's only going to be money for one if there's money for that one
From the state. Yeah.
from the state. The problem that we have is, and we really do have a logistical problem, is that the application is before the state. And that envisions that we're going to have natural sciences, we're going to have health sciences, and student health center.
Right.
One-to-one replacement. I personally believe that we need to ride that horse for the moment. Because the reality is we're not going to be able to do anything other than that for at least 2 or 3 years in the best of circumstances. Because if we were to complete the master plan by the end of this year, we will go through the environmental impact report. Then we're going to end up going through a bond election process. Okay, and then we're going to end up sitting in front of the division of the state architect. You're talking 3 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So the question is, if we're going to order this properly, we should wait for the state to say yes or no in the meantime. If they say no, that we would move forward with the building we've already designed, which is the U building phase 1.
Right.
So, to me, CEC, in my view, should be the Community Education Center, which is what it was designed and built to do. It means that if we're going to do contract ed, if we're going to do any education with the community as a whole, CEC, by its very name, should be the building that we use. I don't think that we should encumber the campus here with what CEC can do over there. That's my view.
Well, one of the other things is that, I've forgotten his name now, the dean of the math program was also...
Charlie Hope.
Yeah, was also interested in, being co-located in a science building. I think there's some, synergies there, and of course, in a one-to-one replacement, that isn't accounted for. But that could be one of the additions when that
Phase 2.
occurs. It could be phase 2. That's easily accomplished. The health sciences is a little different, but I
Now,
understand.
by the way, phase 2, if we self-fund, we can build that at the same time.
No, I'm
Instead
assuming
of having the windows in one side, it becomes a corridor, and then we just plug the second phase right into the first.
Okay.
And are you thinking that would be the part of the next bond then?
Well,
The second
state
and
certainly
maybe
won't
third?
pay for that, because they
Right.
certainly want to.
They do one-to-one only, right.
The one-to-one is as an emergency replacement for a building that is unsafe.
Yeah.
And that's still the path we're moving on.
Right. And that decision...
Well, we had Fred Harrison here last week, and God only knows what it's going to be, because the state has no money. And therefore, they have to contemplate putting a bond measure before the statewide voters. And then they have to get approval on that.
Right.
And they're not planning on that this year. So by the time they get around to it, it's going to be, what?
You may have your
next year?
bond measure in place before they get to it.
Part of the issue is, they say that, and this is a criticism that the Chancellor's office has of PCC, is that we have become an island to ourselves. But the reason is because it's such a pain to deal with them, is that we've raised $150 million and we've over-delivered. If you saw my presentation with the board, is that we can create $250 million with no increased taxation on the property owners. And $250 million on this campus goes a very long way. Because this building, each one of these phases is $50 million. So even if we build all 3 phases and self-funded, it's $150 million.
Well, the state has sort of forced you to act as an island. Otherwise, you said, just stay where you are.
Well, they keep cutting our budget, and telling
Right,
us
right,
to
right.
do all the work we need to do.
So, I realize this probably isn't the place, but where do we have that conversation about the best places to have programs and what can be on and what can be off? And where does instruction have that input into that
Well,
conversation?
you guys have had total input for phase 1 of the U building, right?
That is correct.
Okay, and I would assume that phase 2 and phase 3 is a part of this FMP 100 master plan. And what we need to do is to organize, do you already have a U building group? Andre?
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
Linda's,
yeah.
yeah.
That's the meeting.
Linda's
Okay, so
committee.
that's where it is.
Well, I was thinking of it actually one notch up from that, about a broader sense of what programs would say belong on campus and what programs could belong in other places on campus. I'm just wondering where that conversation takes place with instruction.
In this regard, can I just ask one quick question? In our previous meeting, we were talking about the R building. It came up that the actual FTES projected for coming year is quite a bit less than your current FTES, which is showing a downturn. I mean, the tidal wave 2 is evidently passed, and now we're seeing some drop
No,
down.
it hasn't passed, that's a funding issue.
That's a funding issue. Okay, so your projections for enrollment are, if they were not tied to funding, are continuing to rise.
To rise.
Okay, all right.
There's a
So-
demand and supply
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
What we're doing is we're separating sections from FTS from enrollment, because those 3 are not interchangeable. So we had 185,000 enrollments in 2010-11. Our goal in for the district is that we will maintain that level of 185,000 enrollments in spite of the budget drop, so that we will fully insulate the students from the budget problem at PCC.
You're going to be able to accomplish that? That's
Yes.
amazing. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, because nobody else has done it, therefore we will.
It's your wagon to a star. It's great.
No, there's a way of doing it. It just requires a change in our philosophy. But the reality is that we can maintain 185,000 enrollments with a budget where the bottom's falling out.
Is the give come in the class size?
The give comes in two forms. One is class size, the other is efficiency, which is the overall deal. You cannot offer sections with 6 people in it, when you can offer a section with 40 in it. Okay, and you don't lose your ability to teach in a section of 40. A section of 6 is just untenable.
Yeah.
So for the same amount of money, you can teach more students, and therefore efficiency rises. If our efficiency rises, our enrollment can stay constant while the number of sections drops. And in the sections is only useful in terms of determining cost. So your costs drop, your enrollment rises or stays constant. And the FTS doesn't matter in the slightest, because all it does is deal with the apportionment revenue.
Okay. Well, I just want to get some of this clear, and some of you probably already know all this. Pardon me for kind of taking your time to do that.
No, it's an important point.
But yeah, okay. I don't mean to take away. There's other committees that we.
There are committees that have not yet met.
This is part of our issue.
These committees, we need to have these committees meet. Next week, you're going to be away, and so all of these committees have to be completed by the end of April. So I have put on the blackboard, and I also have a sign-up sheet that can be circulated. If your name appears on the blackboard under one of these committees, you need to sign the areas on this sheet that you are available to have a meeting. And then Linda Valencia will coordinate all of these dates together so that we can have these meetings to happen. So does that relate to everybody? The person that is not here that we really need to get hold of is Al.
Yeah, evidently Al's a tough guy.
No, but his deal right now, he's working on the fusion program with the state. So.
Okay.
Okay. And Hannah.
Hannah is here.
Hannah is here, and so.
And easier to deal with, too.
The Sustainability Committee has met because there is a Shared Governance Sustainability Committee on campus.
Okay.
So we have been meeting. I didn't go to the last meeting, but we do have a framework set up for, because our charter is to create sustainability policies and procedures for the campus, and so it's going to fit into the FMP. So far, I'll just read off our framework, so if any of you are interested, you can come by the meeting. It's renewable energy, zero waste, water, food service, transit, purchasing, operations and maintenance, building construction, and institutionalizing a culture of sustainability. And we're going to be meeting tomorrow, supposedly in this room, but it might change at 12 p.m. So.
Great.
Okay, so I have a question for you then. If you're going to be meeting tomorrow at 12 p.m., that would be Thursday at 12 p.m., would it be possible for somebody from our group to meet with you? Because I believe that he is available and he is going to be gone when you guys get back from vacation.
Yeah,
so,
sure. I'll just get his contact info in case if the room changes.
Okay, that's great. So before you leave the... Thank you. So did I just pass that thing around? Did I just send that sheet around?
Underneath here.
It's under here. So I'm sending this around. You people are on your honor to sign up for these. Just sign the areas that you're available, and then we will coordinate.
Okay. Yeah.
Coleman, somebody.
Dave has a
I was just going to say, Susan, I'm not officially a part of this group, but can I?
Yes.
my name-
Yes, you
No,
can.
absolutely.
Absolutely. So you can sign up the sheet of paper, or you can sign on the board here before you go.
You just get a half vote.
Better than no vote.
Right. And if you are, for some reason, because you don't have your schedule with you or whatever, if you're unable to sign either on the paper or on the board, would you please contact Linda Valencia in order to give her information about your availability? Because this is the only difficulty that we are having, is getting everybody's schedules organized. Other than that, it's going perfectly.
Which is not unexpected.
No.
No.
And if you are a committee member and not assigned to a project, you need to find.
Anybody is welcome to any group.
Yeah, no, if you got comments and you want to come, feel free.
Okay.
The public art, Jim Gonzalez hasn't been a part of this. I'm not sure how
He was supposed to be. I want to be part of that too.
He's been with
So
me.
public, am I in public art?
You're not
We don't
listed,
have
but
any-
you can. You are able to join any group, Rick.
But we don't have anyone from.
Which one you want?
You get half a
I
vote.
want public art
Public
too.
art?
No, I get a vote and a half.
Okay.
I get veto. Is that it, Susan?
So I think that's it for us for the moment.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on any of the above? These meetings are extremely high density, as you can tell, but
Yeah.
you do?
Well, just
you have
because,
time.
you brought up about, I hear one thing and then the other about CEC, I represent CEC. And more importantly, I represent non-credit ESL. And we had talked about having, because we see it as an
Combining that.
instructional, coming here. Is that something that you're still
Yes,
considering? And so CEC would be more high school, GED,
community education.
and contracts, that they have a program over there now for the MA, medical assisting, contract ed, that type of thing.
Yes.
And so you were thinking about having the,
No, and the issue with ESL and combining with languages in some form, because of course languages division has credit ESL, and then CEC has non-credit ESL.
okay.
So, no, there are no assumptions based on that. You guys work that out.
Okay, and then we were talking, I was talking with the architects about, with the R building opening up, that wasn't my favorite place. If we're gonna do it, I want to
Nobody's
do
favorite.
it separate.
Wait till we get finished with it though.
Yeah.
It won't be ugly.
But glad Dave's here because they said maybe the E building might open up, and
Conceivably, once the new U building is built, if it's phase 2 of the U building, we move physics out, that is entirely possible too. As it is, photography moves into the new Center for the Arts.
Right.
That's the first floor of the western side of the E building.
I like it. It reminds me of the Lincoln Memorial, only why can't you go in? It's like windows there.
And why does it smell so bad
Yeah,
when you
it
do get
smells
in?
bad. And that's the only thing.
That's
But
what photography.
I like,
Something rotten behind the glass panels there, you know?
Something rotten in Denmark.
but that, I wanted to bring that up
Yeah.
because,
No. I still think that's the right move.
okay.
Okay? Anybody else? Yes?
Hey, I'm not officially part of this
Doesn't
committee, but
matter.
Jennifer is, and we're just wondering if the library is being considered at all in the next master plan.
Yes? Yes?
Okay.
The issue is, again, if there are inputs that need to be made, by the time Michael's done, anybody can input, but in any event, you can input to the architects
Sure.
of whatever the changes. Now, one of the changes that we're already contemplating is to put a dome over the top of the atrium so that we can create a space that's more environmentally friendly for the students, so that during rain or during the blazing heat, they can still be outside. That's one of the changes that we've already contemplated.
Yeah, there's a few things like that, and one, I don't know what the Innovation Center is, but a lot of libraries now are learning commons. It's just a different configuration, more seating, more, ability to use laptops and things like that. So we just want to make sure that, it's still a new building, but it's, we're getting old for what we're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, any other questions, comments? We still have 2 minutes, tons of time. Paper hasn't gone around, who's holding? Oh, Dave Douglas is holding up on the paperwork again.
Bottleneck there.
Is W building the same as innovation?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is.
All right. I'm confused.
So nothing new.
So let's check with other towns.
So that, Linda, do you use Google survey,
Page.
Google scheduling survey?
These pages.
The website, google.com?
So I have a kind of idea how I think it should run.
Okay,
based on how
anybody
we
else?
define it all.
The ones they can do.
Last comments?
So I probably need
And then,
Motion to
yes, and then we
adjourn.
left me a voicemail and it's.
Is there a second? Keith Overlander is the second.
For what?
Motion to adjourn is Hannah with Keith. It is 2:58 and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Question on last one.